This video brought to you by the Magic Candle Company. Use offer code OFFHAND15 for 15% off your entire order, and stay tuned until the end of the video to find out how you too can predict the future of the Disney resorts, like a pro. Me, I'm the pro.
Please welcome your host, the chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products, Bob Chapek.
Good morning, D23! Hey, so do we have any Parks fans in the house? I believe that every attraction should tell a story that resonates with guests of all ages, which is why we're putting in more Disney, more Pixar, more Marvel, and more Star Wars into our parks. The new Spaceship Earth will still feature great moments of human history. But instead of inventions and technology, we'll focus on something that binds all of humanity together: storytelling.
This is the one that hurts me the most. D23 2019 sort of set the groundwork for the future of the Disney parks, where they were going. Yes, we would be receiving IP in the park in the forms of lands like Avengers Campus or the Zootopia land at Hong Kong, and IP isn't a bad thing. I don't think it is. But alongside things like Avengers Campus and Runaway Railway, we also received news about new EPCOT, the transformation of Spaceship Earth, Mary Poppins coming to the UK Pavilion, and of course, Ratatouille coming to the France Pavilion. Only one of these ended up happening, as of today, because, as we all know, 2020 sort of shook up, to say the least, the future of the Disney parks. Disney had to reevaluate what they were doing and when they were going to be doing it, and now we are just about 5 months away from D23 2022, and while my expectations aren't sky high, I do think that Disney will make good on their promises from 2019 within the next 5 to 10 years here. Now, this isn't the D23 predictions video. That's going to come out closer to the actual thing in September. No, I'm going to be predicting a lot of stuff in general, what I think is going to be happening and what we're going to see developing and being built across all of the Disney parks throughout the next, 1 to 2 to 10 years. Okay, this video is going to be split up into 3 different segments. We have short term, which is like within the next couple years or so, things that are wrapping up right now. Midterm, which is going to be your projects that will be finished or started around, 3 to 5 years from now. And then long term, those are going to be the attractions and changes that are like 6 to 10 plus years away. Think DisneylandForward. And so we begin with my short term predictions, things that are going to happen or be completed relatively soon here within the next couple of years. Essentially, my short list of things that are going to be completed or finished are things that have already begun construction. Things like Tron. My prediction is that Tron Light Cycle Run, if you watched my last video, will open this year, 2022, maybe in October, maybe toward the end of the year. I'm not quite sure, but it's opening this year. My guess is going to be the 51st anniversary, so October 1st, 2022 is going to be when Tron opens. I could be wrong. Either way, my shirt is cool today, so that's all that matters. Guardians of the Galaxy opens next month. Moana, I think, is going to be done within the year or next year. And then over at Disneyland, we have New Toontown and Runaway Railway slated to open in the coming year, 2023. So that's going to be really good to see. Toontown getting a little bit of love. I'm not quite sure what's going to be happening elsewhere. At Disneyland, you have the Treehouse, which is rumored to be getting a retheme. By the time I upload this video, they will have announced it. I know they will have. It's fine. Disney likes doing that. But this is where the list is going to stop, right? You're not going to see me say anything like new Tomorrowland or a 5th gate at Walt Disney World, because that's not going to be within the next couple of years. Maybe in the long term, and we'll get to that a little later in the video, but not yet. Things that Disney has started already are going to be done. That's it's going to be within the next 1 or 2 years. The construction and the metamorphosis of the Disney parks that we've been seeing throughout the past, 5 years is going to be rounded up, tied up with a bow, and completed within the next year here. So, something to look forward to. Middle of the road, like 4 to 5 years away, it gets a little murkier. We're now entering into the realm of hearsay and rumors and opinions and predictions, because none of this has, as far as I know, been officially announced, or if it has, it's not going to be done anytime soon. But honestly, I think that's more fun. What do we want to come to Walt Disney World or Disneyland? What do you think is more likely to come to these parks? And I'm gonna start with the easy stuff first, because these things have already been announced but delayed. So things like the Mary Poppins attraction in the UK Pavilion, the Play Pavilion, the new Spaceship Earth that Bob Chapek promised us back in 2019. Bob, I'm gonna hold you to that. It's gonna happen. I just don't know when. As for over on the West Coast, over at Disneyland, Magic Band integration is coming soon. I have a feeling that it's not gonna be next year or the year after, but maybe 2025, I think, is realistic. Although, you know, it's not as hard to implement as an attraction would be. But on the note of attractions, things like the Avengers e-ticket that was slated for Avengers Campus, and even a potential renaming of California Adventure. They've been circulating questionnaires and rumors and even options for the names that people would want to replace Disney California Adventure. They just haven't gotten around to that. Either that, or they've decided that they like California Adventure and want to keep it, which is fine, fair. It's an okay name. It's not really about California anymore, but it's an adventure park. I mean, what else would you call it? You know, like Disney Adventure Park, the Movie Magic Park, the Disney Studios Park, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what I would call it. Here's something I could see being changed, though. The Matterhorn bobsleds are an iconic Disneyland attraction. They've been there since Walt's day. It's the world's first steel tubular roller coaster, worked on by Imagineers like two-time Best Human Award winner Bob Gurr. But, my friends, the Matterhorn is very, very old. And the amount of maintenance work that is needed to just keep it barely open and operating year-round it's more than you think. I'm not here to say that the Matterhorn will be torn down and replaced with a new attraction. No, I think the Matterhorn will be torn down and replaced with a new Matterhorn. Completely rebuilt from the ground up to make it more modern and less jerky and painful. Also more easy to repair and manage. I'm sure Disney would appreciate that too. They've completely redone the queue, and while yes, the Matterhorn has gotten a couple updates over the years, it still remains sort of a problem child. I foresee that within the next 3 to 5 years, the Matterhorn will be announced to be getting a makeover, a brand new structure. I'm not saying it's going to be done within the next 3 to 5 years, but I am saying that it's going to be announced. So, new Matterhorn. Disney employees, keep your ear to the ground on that one for me. Fantasyland. We all love Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and Pinocchio's Daring Journey, right? Well, you're about to love them even more when they get their updates. Don't worry though, this doesn't mean anything like Mr. Toad is going away or Pinocchio's getting a retheme. No, they're just gonna be getting the technological improvements that Alice, Peter Pan, and Snow White have gotten. Sort of like a new Fantasyland 1.5. Not exactly a brand new facade for everything and a new attraction. No, they're just getting a refresh, and that's gonna happen. It's honestly only a matter of time. Hopefully they keep the hell scene. I will be mad if they get rid of the hell scene. That's an icon. Now, as for the Splash Mountain Princess and the Frog retheme, I have no idea when this is going to happen. All right, it could be, they could announce it tomorrow for an opening date of 2024, or it's gonna be 8 years before they even announce a date that it's gonna be open, or they might not do it at all. This might be Splash Mountain in 10 years. So that's why I'm putting it in the middle. It could really go either way, but if it does happen, I'm gonna say it's gonna be like 5 to 7 years away from right now. And when it does happen, they are going to retheme all of Critter Country to be a New Orleans Square expansion. I've talked about this multiple times before. The Hungry Bear is going to be renamed and probably rethemed. Winnie the Pooh will stay, maybe with an exterior retheming and everything, but not so much inside. And of course, Splash Mountain will now be the e-ticket attraction, the main attractor to the Bayou area of New Orleans Square. Sort of an extension, and I think it's going to be really cool. Hopefully, it comes with new food. Tiana makes gumbo in the movie, right? That means we can get new food in New Orleans Square. Maybe a relaunch of all of New Orleans Square. Maybe that's why they're doing all that work in New Orleans Square right now. They're leveling it out. They're getting people ready for the announcement of New Orleans Square. Disney did it again. They're doing it slowly right before our very eyes. First new Tomorrowland in Florida, and now New Orleans Square. New Orleans Square. Tricky Disney. Okay, anything else? In the same vein of Princess and the Frog in Disneyland, Princess and the Frog at Walt Disney World will happen, who knows when, but the Laughing Place gift shop, if it does happen, will be turned into a beignet stand. That is I'm calling it, that is what's gonna happen. Alright, obviously they wouldn't want to miss out on the opportunity to sell more Princess and the Frog merchandise, but you gotta have beignets somewhere. There's a Princess and the Frog ride. Does it fit in with Frontierland? Yeah, I could go either way on that, but if you put a beignet stand or somewhere to get beignets, I will forgive you. It'll be okay. And if I were to throw out a guess here, I will say that the Disneyland version of New Splash Mountain will be open and operating before Disney World's version. Just because that's the original Splash Mountain and it's a lot smaller, therefore cheaper to retheme. So the Disneyland one will be done before. But now we arrive at the real meat, and I suppose the potatoes of the video. And I guess some people put like butter and gravy on those potatoes. What is the far future of the Disney resorts gonna look like? What is Disneyland Forward gonna mean for Disneyland in the next 20 to 30 or 10 years? What is Walt Disney World gonna look like? Are we gonna finally get that fifth gate? And if you've been paying attention, you'll notice that I didn't really mention a whole lot about Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom, or California Adventure for that matter. And that's because I don't think there are any immediate plans for different transformations of these three parks, you know? California Adventure is going to go under a metamorphosis, sort of like California Adventure 3.0, but that's not going to be for another 6 to 10 years. Same thing with Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom. Let's start with those two though, over at Walt Disney World. Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, what is going to happen at those parks? The Magic Kingdom, EPCOT, and Disneyland, those are the exciting parts, and we're going to save that to the end. But why would anyone ever go see the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular? Oh, I'm going to get torn apart for that. Disney's Animal Kingdom will receive one new land within the next 10 to 15 years, and what that land is themed around depends on what they want to do with Marvel at Walt Disney World. They've already done Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. If that is a success, and the new movie Black Panther Wakanda Forever is also a success, then I think it is very, very likely that Disney will make a new Wakanda-themed land back by Kilimanjaro Safari over by Rafiki's Planet Watch. They will reroute the Planet Watch Railroad and a new Wakanda land will open. Black Panther doesn't interfere with the entire Universal deal that they have going on there with Spider-Man and the X-Men and Captain America, and they can still tie it into conservation and the wildlife in Africa, because Wakanda is, of course, in Africa. But if they do not want to go with Wakanda, which is totally understandable, fine. If you don't want to do Marvel, you don't want to poke the Universal bear, understandable, you can do another themed land. What that themed land would be? Well, I have it narrowed down between two. It might not necessarily go back where Rafiki's Planet Watch is, you know, like where I said Wakanda would go, but you have either Encanto or Zootopia. I know people hate IP, but this isn't what I want to see happen to Disney World in the future. This is my prediction for what I think is most likely going to happen. Disney is testing the waters for Zootopia over in Hong Kong, where it's getting its own land, and Encanto is Disney's biggest hit since Frozen, so I would be shocked, I tell you, if it didn't get some sort of representation within the parks within the next 10 years. Would a land themed around Encanto have enough attractions to keep it, you know, interesting? I don't know. As for where Encanto would go, there is that massive stretch of just absolutely nothing in between the Harambe Theater and Pandora, so I feel like that would be the most likely spot. That way you can get it sort of away from everything else and have it become Colombia instead of, you know, an alien planet or somewhere in Africa or Asia. I also think if they went with Zootopia, this would provide an easy transition between the industrial world of Zootopia and the industrial abandoned world of Pandora. I know that's probably all backstage stuff, but when has that stopped Disney before? They can move it, they've done it before. I think Discovery Island will be getting a facelift. I don't know in what form that will be, but I do think It's Tough to Be a Bug its days are numbered. Not super sure what they would put down there, but movies don't really attract the crowds that they used to, you know, during the old Circle Vision days. That's why they built so many of them over at Tomorrowland. Maybe a dining location? I don't know. Don't ask me, I'm not Disney. If you need to retheme a movie theater attraction, when in doubt, just make it a restaurant. And last on the list for Animal Kingdom, I think Dino Land USA will either be completely bulldozed and rethemed as either, you know, Wakanda, Encanto, Zootopia, or it'll be reimagined and Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama will go the way of the Dino Dodo, and Dinosaur will receive a much needed update. I think Dinosaur has a lot of potential, and I don't want to see it just turn into Indiana Jones Adventure East. Although with the Boneyard Play area, that would make for a pretty easy retheme into like an excavation site themed around Indiana Jones. But Indiana Jones is going to Hollywood Studios, but we're not quite there yet. I enjoy Dinosaur for what it is. It's not as good as Indiana Jones Adventure, but I don't think it needs to be torn down. The rest of Dino Land though, yeah, you can go ahead and get rid of that. Last thing before we move on from Animal Kingdom, to answer everyone's question, the burning question, the elephant, or I should say, giant ape in the room. I don't think the Yeti's ever gonna get fixed. Joe Rohde has now departed from the Walt Disney Company, and with him, my hopes of a brand new Yeti. Unless Disney does some sort of reinvigoration or reinvention or expansion of Anandapur, the city around it's a themed land around Expedition Everest. I can't see the Yeti ever getting fixed unless it's like a relaunch of the attraction. So put those hopes to bed. It's just not in the cards. All right, Hollywood Studios, the park that I think is going to see the least amount of change within the next 10 or so years. Like I said, Indiana Jones Adventure maybe gonna be replacing the Stunt Spectacular, but that's an easy one. Everybody always talks about that. Let's talk about Muppets. Let's talk about Grand Avenue, and maybe even Animation Courtyard. Yeah, that's right, there's an area called Animation Courtyard. Who knew? I never visit. Hollywood Studios is sort of suffering from California Adventure syndrome right now. Or California Adventure is suffering from Hollywood Studios syndrome, where there's a lot of stuff that works, like Runaway Railway, Galaxy's Edge, and Toy Story Land, and then there's things that don't work, like the Animation Courtyard. Now, the Animation Courtyard was where you used to be able to meet characters, go to the Animation Academy, watch actual Disney animators animate movies. That's why it's called that. It's where you'd find Playhouse Disney / Disney Junior / whatever it's called now live on stage, and The Voyage of the Little Mermaid. And while I'm sure it had its heyday at some point, the Courtyard is all but pretty much abandoned now, minus the Ariel and Disney Junior shows, but it doesn't really draw a crowd. Now, what would overtake the Animation Courtyard? What would be a better use of the space? Option 1, Avengers Campus East. They have to be very careful with this one. Maybe once the rights have reverted back to Disney from Universal for the theme park use of the Marvel characters, or maybe just don't use any of the characters they use at Universal. I don't know how it works. But if Black Panther comes to Animal Kingdom, it's here you'd be able to get influence from Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, those people. Or including Black Panther if they go with Encanto instead. And another sort of backup in case they didn't want to replace it with Avengers Campus, maybe an extension to Sunset Boulevard. As an extension of an already existing sort of mini land, there's plenty of room back there for at least one attraction. At least. Sunset Boulevard is kind of Hollywood Studios' thrill center, right? They have the Tower of Terror and they have Rock and Roller Coaster, so they could add another thrill ride like, I don't know. Maybe an indoor dark ride that's a tour through all of these classic Hollywood movies before something goes wrong and it suddenly turns into a thrill attraction. Think Muppets Great Movie Ride just without the Muppets. And speaking of the Muppets, listen, I don't want this to happen, but I'm trying to think realistically what Disney wants to do right now, and Muppet Vision isn't a massive crowd attractor. I think it's one of the best attractions at all of Hollywood Studios, at all of Disney World for that matter, but it sits in between Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and Star Tours. And if we're thinking far future here, if Disney wants to expand Galaxy's Edge at Walt Disney World, it would kind of make sense for them to expand outwards past Muppets into Star Tours and incorporate Star Tours into the land, just with a new retheming and then a canon Star Tours tour every single time. Unless they go back on that whole canon thing, they might not. I'm not going to include it in this video. So if Galaxy's Edge overtakes Muppet Vision, I could see something more like an innovative, interactive restaurant, the table service that we were supposed to originally get, or perhaps a new attraction. That Bantha People Mover is looking pretty good. I like People Movers. What I want to happen, though, is I want them to expand Muppets Courtyard, tear down Star Tours, like the exact opposite of what I think might happen. Get rid of Star Tours, we have it. We have a better version over Galaxy's Edge in the form of a Millennium Falcon. Why do you need Star Tours at this point? So get rid of it and build on its place the Great Muppets Movie Ride. It was a canceled attraction, or just a Muppets Dark Ride in general. The Muppet animatronics look amazing. They look like Muppets. So why not do a Muppets Dark Ride? Put some thrills in there, put some chills in there. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I just hope Muppet Vision stays. I also think the backlot theming of Hollywood Studios is going to go away over the years, so the Backlot Express will be renamed and rethemed, and Hollywood Studios, as it is sort of now, will be less about the making of movies and more about the living in movies, becoming a part of the movies, which I don't think is a bad thing. I actually think that's more interesting. Now, there are about 3 more things I want to touch on in this video: EPCOT, California Adventure, and DisneylandForward. Starting, of course, with EPCOT before we head back over to the West Coast and talk about the Disneyland Resort. I'm an EPCOT fan. I feel like that's widely known at this point, and like I said throughout this video, I think all of the construction projects that are currently being worked on will be finished. Once Disney is ready to break ground on new EPCOT Phase 2, we're going to get Mary Poppins, we're going to get Spaceship Earth, we're going to get things that were promised but didn't really end up showing up, like the Play Pavilion, but also things that were never announced in the first place, like a new Journey into Imagination, a new Land and Sea Pavilion. I said that already. The parts of Future World that they are not touching right now are going to be part of that 2.0 phase. Mostly Journey to Imagination. I just do something with it. I can see more attractions coming to the World Showcase, like especially in Morocco. If you were to ask me which pavilion is getting an attraction next, not a reskin, Coco's probably going to come relatively soon, it would be Morocco and it would be an Aladdin attraction. Disney has recently reacquired or just has full ownership of the Morocco Pavilion, and this is one of the rare cases I see of a restaurant going away and making room for an attraction. Marrakesh in the very back of the pavilion will be where the Aladdin attraction is going, and Spice Road Table over on the waterfront will be the new sort of premier Morocco dining location. Okay, now moving over to California. Disney California Adventure, we all know, is changing, and I think I'm just gonna say something that we've all been thinking this whole time. The Hollywood backlot is absolutely toast. Ever since they changed the courtyard for the Hyperion, where Aladdin and Frozen used to be shown, into a Ant-Man themed seating area, I thought to myself, oh, this place is never coming back as what it once was. It's gonna be Avengers Campus expansion, and that is what I would put money down on it. The Hollywood backlot is 100% going to be used for an Avengers Campus expansion, and Mike and Sully to the Rescue will be rethemed into a new dark ride. Seriously, Disney, give us that Doctor Strange dark ride. I'm begging you. It could be like the Haunted Mansion, full of illusions and magic tricks. It's so easy. It's so simple. It'd be so cool. Paradise Gardens Park will either be rethemed to be an extension to Pixar Pier. Nothing new will go in there, though. The restaurants will just be rethemed to Pixar properties, which is fine. Either that or nothing's going to happen at all. And Pacific Wharf over on the other side, again, either nothing at all is going to happen, nothing's going to change, or they're going to extend Pixar Pier or Cars Land out into where Pacific Wharf is to bridge the lands together. Because Pixar, Pier, Pixar, Cars Land, it makes sense. They're two Pixar-themed lands, why not bridge the gap between them through Pacific Wharf? They're going to stay the same, though. I have a feeling both of those are going to remain unchanged for a while. Okay, I've saved the best two for last. New Tomorrowland. If you watched my last video on Tron and how it's affecting New Tomorrowland at Walt Disney World, you've kind of heard my thoughts on this already. New Tomorrowland is happening very slowly but surely at Walt Disney World. As for Disneyland, I think it needs a little bit more help than Disney World, and it's gonna take a longer time. I think the rides that are safe at Disneyland, ones that won't be torn down for New Tomorrowland, are Space Mountain and the monorail. That's it. Those are the only two. At Disney World, it's a little bit more, forgiving. You have Space Mountain, the People Mover, the Carousel of Progress. Even things like the Astro Orbiter and maybe even Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor are pretty safe. You can't really put an attraction in those buildings because they're small, they're for shows. What's going to happen in New Tomorrowland? Well, I think for both coasts, it's going to be more of a retro future, sleek, white, silver, chrome sort of vibe. Sort of what we can already see developing at the Magic Kingdom. Same for Disneyland. They released concept art of this new area of downtown Disney they're planning on expanding and building. It's where Earl of Sandwich and the movie theater used to be, and it's where the monorail stop is. And where is the other monorail stop at Disneyland? Tomorrowland. And they have to match, right? It makes thematic sense. So this is what Tomorrowland's gonna look like. But I mean, come on, anybody can talk about the things that are 5 to 10 years down the road, right? The baby stuff. New Tomorrowland is probably, hopefully, maybe, possibly gonna come within the next 10 years, but the big things, the things forward, down the road, 15, 20, 30 years in the future, Disneyland Forward. What is Disneyland Forward? Do we even know at this point what's gonna happen? Are we getting a third gate? Is it gonna be a park expansion? What's the theme gonna be? Are we gonna get new rides? I'm here to answer all of those questions and more because I don't even have an answer, but it would be fun to speculate. Disneyland Forward is not a third park at the Disneyland Resort. It's more of an expansion to the existing two parks and downtown Disney. And Disneyland announced it right on the heels of its reopening because during COVID and the shutdown, the city of Anaheim realized just how much they need Disney. Everything in the concept art is purposefully vague, but we do know they want to expand Disneyland and California Adventure, sort of combine them around the Paradise Pier and Disneyland hotels. Now, I'm not going to make any guesses as to what attractions they will build if they end up building Disneyland Forward, although if they don't do Tron and Tomorrowland, I foresee it. It's a very, very high likelihood that it will be built as part of Disneyland Forward. And that's why this is at the very end of the video. Don't expect this to be done and complete within the next 10 years. This is going to be a slow evolution of the resort. It's going to take 10 to 20 to 30 years to see through its completion. If Offhand Disney is still running and chugging along in 30 years by the time Disneyland Forward is open, then yeah, I'm going to make videos about it, talking about whether or not I was correct, but as for now, we can only speculate. If I were to hazard a guess though, I'm going to say that Disneyland Forward, or the expansions to Disneyland and California Adventure, will be chock full of e-ticket attractions, just to make it worth it, to make it the city of Anaheim happier about more people coming into Disneyland. So you're going to have things like your Moanas, your Encantos, your Frozens, your Trons. I think all of the big IPs are going to get e-tickets in Disneyland Forward expansions. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, look at the concept art. I know it's not real. I know this isn't what it's actually going to look like, but it looks high budget. This doesn't look like DCA 3.0. This looks like a fully immersive Galaxy's Edge style expansion for these different films, and that's what I'm excited for. Again, that's probably why it's going to take so long, but it'll happen. I'm pretty convinced it's going to happen. But while Disneyland Forward is still a ways into the future, don't worry, you can get a sneak peek of it right now, right from your very own home. Don't believe me? Well, thank today's sponsor, the Magic Candle Company. Prepare yourself for the inevitable new Moana attraction with the Polynesian candle. Make your home smell like the Polynesian, but also the new Moana attraction. Bring home the sense of the churros that they will inevitably sell on the bridges leading into these new expansions, because we all know you gotta make some money as guests go from one area to the other. The Magic Candle Company has both of these scents and more. Don't believe me? Why? Visit their website at magiccandlecompany.com and make sure to use the offer code OFFHAND15 to get 15% off of your purchase. Now, they have a Spaceship Earth scent, but as soon as they have a Living with the Land scent, I'm sold. I'm just going to be burning that in my house at all times, 24/7, 365. But it's not just candles. If you don't want a candle crackling cozily away in the corner of your room, you can use one of their room sprays or air fresheners for your car. If you want your car to smell like the Haunted Mansion, you can do that. It's a thing. Go, find out. Remember to use my code OFFHAND15 at checkout to get your discount, and a massive thank you to the Magic Candle Company for sponsoring this video. They're one of the regulars, guys. They're cool. You know, funny story, I was actually going to call this video the uncertain future of the Disney parks, even before the whole thing in Florida started blowing up. Don't believe me? Ask the patrons. They saw this all before that thing happened over there. So I guess the park's future is even more uncertain now than when I began this video. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to extend this video any further than it needed to. Maybe later on down the road. I'm not afraid to get a little political, okay? I could do that, but I just think it's funny that I had decided on like the theme and the title of this video before all that had happened. And now I'm just gonna seem like I am cashing in on the recent trend. No, my friends, I am the trend setter, okay? I talk about uncertain futures before anyone even gets the idea to. That's just what you get for subscribing and liking here on Offhand Disney. But now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go plan out my next video, probably about EPCOT or Tron in some fashion, because that's just essentially what this channel has become. I'm kidding, of course. Maybe a tiki video. I'm wearing the tiki shirt. I'm feeling in a tiki mode. Let's talk about tikis, all right? I don't know what I'd talk about, but we can figure it out. Hello friends, thank you all so much for watching this video on the uncertain future of the Disney parks. I know the title is a little bit scary, but I think we're gonna be fine. In the long term, I think the Disney parks are just gonna keep getting better. And I think that's true to some extent. I think they have been getting better over the years. Even though people might not like the direction EPCOT is taking right now, I personally, as a massive EPCOT fan, am loving it. Connections looks amazing. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, please, by all means, hit the like button. It lets YouTube know that you like it, and it lets me know that you like it, so I can recommend more videos like this, and I can make more videos like this. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos about the future of Disneyland, Walt Disney World, the history of both of those parks, and my opinions on mostly EPCOT. I mentioned it earlier in the video, but a massive thank you to all of my supporters over at patreon.com/offhanddisney. They got an early sneak peek of this video earlier in the week, like Monday. So if you want that or any other perks that come with even just pledging $1, head over there. The link is in the description down below. They're the ones who help keep this channel chugging along, so a massive thank you again to all of my supporters on Patreon. I can't say that enough. Thank you all. And make sure to follow me also on all of my other social medias, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. I am Offhand Disney on all of those places. If you've seen one end card, you've kind of seen them all, right? I mean, I'm trying to mix it up a little bit here toward the end, but I mean, if you stuck around till the end card, again, let's do the little secret code word. Let's do like salt and pepper, right? I'm looking at my old vintage Donald and Daisy salt and pepper shakers on my collection stand right now. Here's a video of them. Go ahead and comment salt, include the words salt and pepper somewhere in your comment, and I will know you made it to the end. Thank you all so much for watching. I think it's about time to wrap up the video. I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.